fundraising for. We have a small presentation, because we could go on forever, because we have so many groups at VANDU.
Or else you know how much Anne likes to talk.
Well, I'm telling you. If only something would happen. Anyway, some things do happen. There's some extra food, so if you want more food, go get some, okay? I think everyone's been fed once, and there's, I don't know, quite a few more. So, the meat eaters get to try vegetarian. I don't know. He's just worried, you know, because the sort of omnivore, the abatunivore kind of approach, with you don't care what you eat, but the vegetarians like are so special, you can't screw that up. So, well, it's true. Okay, want me closer? Okay. So I'm signaling to someone to change the thing. This picture is the very first board of directors of the BC Yukon Association of Drug War Survivors. I'm signaling. It was an accomplishment, I'll tell you. It was a story. So for many years, people who use drugs throughout BC always contacted VANDU for help. And we couldn't seem to have, I mean, VANDU doesn't get funded, so where are they going to fund a provincial group, right? So, and we've got provincial groups. Just so you know, the BC Association of People on Methadone was named that name so that people on methadone throughout the province could join and start chapters if they got pissed off enough about the way they were being treated by their methadone program. And advocacy is clearly needed in that field. And the Western Aboriginal Harm Reduction Society is another completely formed nonprofit society that's part of a sort of group of societies that VANDU helps run, or I help run anyway. And so this was the big panic that we had in the province that really got people organizing, not the HIV/AIDS outbreak, which of course then tragically occurred after this huge numbers of overdoses. So we applied for funding and got funding from the Vancouver Foundation, and we got $50,000. And we brought 100 people who use drugs from around the province to the Delta Hotel on Hastings Street. And you can give them our condolences to this day. The person who rents you the conference thing kept saying, you know, we went in the elevator and they had a little sign up saying, "Welcome, VANDU," you know what I mean? And we're like, "Are you sure?" We kept saying, "Do you understand what our group does?" It's like, "Oh, no problem." So I don't know. Anyway,
and tell me that.
Well, I don't know. It was mostly that they wanted us to pay for pillows and sheets, and people had smoked in their rooms, all these fees and fines and stuff. But we got through it. So next one. And the other thing is that who knew you could put 100 people in a hotel for $50,000? I'm asking everyone else, how much do you get? So we spent less on food. So if you ever really want to know how to pinch a budget, ask Nicole. She did it. And so it was a really interesting experience. The guy who cooked this wonderful meal is Iannis, and Iannis is... We were worried if we catered it, we wouldn't make any money, or we'd have to charge $100 a plate, but he really loves cooking, and he does a brilliant job. But what he does as a huge contribution to this group was, on a Friday night, people flew into the hotel. We had 100 drug users there. Saturday morning, we roasted them and got them going for a whole day of work, and then Sunday, they worked all day Sunday. By Sunday night, we had created this points of unity. It's actually 6. You'll see them later on. And it really just takes organizing. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do this kind of thing. It was our goal. We had had a bunch of meetings. Every time there was a hepatitis C get-together or an HIV/AIDS get-together, I would call all the people who had been emailing me for help over the years trying to start their user group out in, I don't know, Nelson, Victoria, Prince George. And I would scheme to say, oh, apply for a scholarship, and then we would sort of get together and hold our little informal drug user group meeting. So it was great to actually acknowledge that we were going to do this. So we were more than ready to do it. And because it's unusual to get a set of bylaws in a weekend, but I'm telling you, we had them on PowerPoint, we swam through them. What's the membership criteria? Anyway, in October then, after the whole process was over, we had the number of the papers signed, so we were able to register the group. And we did it. And the way we set it up, that the board of directors of the BC Yukon Association of Drug War Survivors is, we have to save spots, and we use the same regions that the health authorities use. So there's an interior, a northern, a Vancouver coastal, a Vancouver Island. So if one of them remains empty, we'll keep it empty until a representative comes in, because we want everyone represented from all regions, but we also wanted it to be proportional. So if most of the drug users are in the Lower Mainland, we really felt it was important to have a reflection of that involved in the board. So next. So these are the 6 points of unity, which I don't know if we need to go through them all. Survivors of the drug war. We use this terminology because at one point they sort of entheogenic drug users. Does anyone know what I mean? You take ayahuasca, it's a God-seeking drug use, and it's illegal for sure, and they're definitely drug users. But the idea that more middle-class people were going to come in and dominate a drug user movement that has VANDU's purposely always said, our goal is to improve the lives of people who use drugs who are the most vulnerable to everything: arrest, death, HIV, hepatitis. So that's why survivors of the drug war was the wording that was agreed upon. We strive for social justice and advocate for human rights for people who use drugs. We work to eliminate the discrimination, criminalization, stigmatization, and isolation of people who use drugs in all areas, social, economic, and political life. We are against the prohibition of drugs and for the regulation of currently illegal drugs. Our lives, our voice, our way, and this is the new saying other than nothing about us without us, which is kind of interesting because it's more of a positive thing rather than the finger wagging, nothing about us. Anyway, I like it. And people who use drugs must have a real representation and power within those institutions that have a significant impact on their lives. We recognize that various groups are differently affected by the harms associated with the use of drugs, and that they may need to organize autonomously as well as part of a larger group. We support the self-directed empowerment of drug war survivors and are committed to the diversity and autonomy of our members. So that's recognizing that we're going to have Aboriginal people breaking away to deal with Aboriginal people's issues around illegal drug use, and women need to have their own autonomous decision-making power within a broader group of drug war survivors. Keith. So what really happened as a result of this was we found out that in Abbotsford, and of course people knew this, but it became really real. When we looked at a map, and we had this brilliant committee, including Katrina, where is she? I mean, we just had such good help with putting together the most powerful PowerPoint, if anyone wants to see it. It's called The Health of People Who Use Illicit Drugs. And it was a real shift to say, it's not about AIDS, and it's not about hepatitis C, and it's because we usually sort of end up at the corner of the table on those issues, you know, drug users trying to elbow their way to the trough to get money for AIDS or something. It's really tough, because they're at a huge disadvantage to be able to take over any of these sort of disease-oriented movements or, you know, funding. So it was really to say, what is the health status of people who use drugs in the province, because they have other issues besides hepatitis C and HIV. So it was really, we worked for week after week after week with a large committee, including Katrina and I can't remember who else, but there was a bunch of the Pivot interns. So it's on our website if anyone ever wants to see it. It's really